If two objects are moving, let's say 75 the speed of light towards each other, wouldn't that mean that relative to each other they are traveling faster than the speed of light? Adding velocity A to velocity B to get a combined velocity of AB is a simplification of how velocities actually add together. It works well for low speeds, but gives wrong answers when relativistic speeds are involved. If you have an observer O and object A is moving at 0.75 c relative to O, while object B is moving at minus 0.75 c, i.e. 0.75 c in the opposite direction relative to O, then O will indeed observe the gap between A and B to be shrinking at a rate of 1.5 c. But shifting the frame of reference to either A or B's perspective would change the measurements of time-space distances being shorter, the passage of time being slower, and you would find that the relative velocity of B as measured by it or vice versa would be less than c. And this wouldn't be a distortion or a measurement error, because there is no fundamental objective sense in which O is really stationary. It's equally valid to take measurements in any given frame of reference. Speeds don't add linearly. On human scales that creates a tiny error, but at 75 the speed of light the defect is plenty to make sure you aren't going faster than the speed of light after. I think what's fascinating to consider is that the speed limit of the universe isn't an arbitrary number, but rather, a deeply woven aspect of our reality's fabric. Imagine throwing a ball inside a train moving at top speed. You would expect to add the speed of the train to the speed of your throw, but at relativistic speeds, things work differently. The universe applies some sort of cosmic accounting where as you approach the speed of light, more of your energy goes into increasing your mass rather than your speed, thanks to good old E equals mc2. So no matter how hard you push the speed envelope, you can't break past that universal limit. These principles create a universe that's safe from causality violations and time paradoxes. Imagine if you could outrun a light beam that's carrying information about your starting position. The constraints of relativity ensure a consistent timeline and confirm why we can't simply tally velocities like we do on Earth. It's counterintuitive, sure, but it preserves the coherent structure of spacetime. Well, this whole thread is light years beyond my realm of understanding, pun intended. This is my understanding, but I'll welcome any other to check my work. A third-party observer will see them closing at the sum of their speeds, yes, but the travelers themselves will experience time dilation. Since speed is distance over time, if you change time, you change speed, they will experience the other object approaching them at no more than the speed of light in their time reference frame. It's very much not a stupid question. Relativity is hard to understand for most, and it took our species until 1905 before someone concluded it with pen on paper. Think of the speed of light as a speed limit that someone somewhere once set for the universe. Under the rule, nothing ever is allowed to go faster. I wonder why. Speed isn't relative. Measured speed is relative obviously, but the actual speed of an object doesn't become faster or slower just because you are faster or slower. And things cap at the speed of light due to many things. You would only observe them approaching you at the speed of light because that's the fastest anything can go, including your observation of their speed. Each observer would see the speed of light as a constant. They wouldn't see the other person approaching as fast as you'd think. A big key is they would see their sense of time much slower than a stationary observer would. I don't know if I can answer this question in a simple way, but the current comments are unconvincing, so I'll give it a shot myself. So you know how speed equals distance time. If you were trying to model the universe, you'd think that distance and time are going to be the same for everyone and speed will be relative. And that is what classical mechanics assumes. But it turns out that is inaccurate. The best model we currently have, relativity, keeps the speed as a constant, specifically the maximum speed, and makes time and distance relative to observers. So when those ships start speeding up, they will experience time much slower. So their measured speed of the other ship will be less than c because they will measure it to take longer for the other ship to travel the same distance. This is called time dilation. Because it's not actually the speed of light. It's the speed of causality. It's the fastest speed in which our universe allows one thing to interact with another. Cause and effect. The absolute quickest it can happen is at the speed of light for physical objects. Quantum stuff is a little different and I don't really understand it all, but apparently we've just discovered quantum state changes that happen instantly no matter the distance. The weirdness of time dilation and other general relativity quirks is that neither observer would perceive the other's relative velocity greater than light. Mass would increase and time would slow down to keep both of them inside of the light horizon relative to each other. Now, a stationary observer holding station exactly halfway between them would still see them at 0.75 c relative to themselves, but they are a different frame of reference. Here's a weird one. two objects each racing toward each other at 0.99 c. However, on one side, we actually have a convoy, a series of ships. Ship 1.99 c, ship 2.9 c. Both of these ships see the opposing ship approach at 0.99 c. Ship 2 sees ship 1 gaining distance at 0.9 c. Ship 2 can carry out communication with ship 1 at 1 c as an outside observer. Ship 2 can see ship 1 closing distance against the opposing ship at a rate greater than 1 c. Due to the local calm relationship of 1 and 2, ship 2 can calculate the time until those two meet and message this to ship 1. Some type of time synchronization could be made. Ship 2 could be dinging a bell on ship 1 every second. Ship 2 could state the time of meeting is 9 sec. But this can't happen from ship 1's perspective. It cannot arrive faster than 0.99 c. But from ship 2's perspective it can. Time would both be in sync, but not in sync if I understand correctly, and I don't know what that time dilates to. It seems contradictory. Here's what the all AI says. https://openai.com/3f6ca60 927-4275 Act 1-34D1 E8 CB3B39. No, yeah, I'd think so, but it turns out velocity doesn't work that way, especially when it's very high. Moving that fast distorts space and time so that things are moving more slowly relative to each other than you would expect. All motion is relative. What body is your reference frame from? With a quick calculation, I got 0.96 c relative speed towards each other. Could be incorrect, it's been decades since school. I don't think the speed of light is actually constant. I have no proof, but am sticking to it. No, even if they were both traveling at the speed of light towards each other, they would only ever see the other person moving at the speed of light x 200b. This is, however, along the lines of thinking you need to get to specific phenomena that are faster than the speed of light x 200b. For example, imagine you had a flashlight that shone on the entire visible surface of the moon, and say you ran your hand in front of the flashlight. Your shadow would technically travel faster than the speed of light x 200b. Another one would be, imagine you had 2 light-year-long blades arranged to create a large scissor that is opened 1 meter. Now when you close the scissors, 1 meter doesn't take very long, so the cutting edge of the scissors travels faster than the speed of light down the length of the blades. I am inclined to agree, since that is a very logical answer. You could just break down the concept into 2 cars moving towards each other and you get that answer. But, from my experience in physics, I would not be surprised if it was somehow incorrect due to some crazy theorem from 1990 lol. No, because nothing can even appear to move faster than the speed of light. That's why most equations require any velocity to be much less than the speed of light. For example, for working out redshift,